story of Shikhandi in the Mahabharata is a really interesting one. It begins with Amba, the princess of Kashi. She was chosen as a bride for Prince Vichitravirya of the Kuru dynasty. However, before the marriage could take place, Bhishma, his brother, abducted Amba along with her two sisters Ambika and Ambalika in the middle of their Swayamvara ceremony. Amba revealed that she had already given her heart to another prince, Salva, and demanded that she be returned to him so they could marry. Bhishma respected her wishes and sent her to Salva, but Salva rejected her due to her abduction by another man and that she was no longer worthy of him. Salva regarding her to have been accepted by Bhishma as his wife and so refused her. So despite her efforts, as well as those of Parashurama, nobody agreed to marry her, including Bhishma himself, who she had tried to convince. Feeling disgraced and rejected, Amba now sought vengeance against Bhishma because she was really mad at him. She embarked on a journey of severe penance and sought the blessings of the gods. Finally, Bhagwan Shiv granted her the boon of being reborn as a male warrior who would bring about Bhishma's downfall and ultimate destruction. Amba is granted a boon by Lord Shiva that she would be reborn as Shikhandi, the child of King Drupada and the sibling of the Mahabharata's female protagonist called Draupadi. So when she was reborn as Shikhandi, Amba or Shikhandi not only was now the son of King Drupada of the Panchal kingdom, but she grew up aware of her previous life. Because of her boon she got from Bhagwan Shiv, remembered everything, and she knew she was there for a purpose, and that was to seek revenge on Bhishma. So her identity, or Shikhandi's identity, was complex. And this is where the theme of transgender really comes in that you can discuss or debate. Because biologically, in this life, Shikhandi was a male, but with the soul and characteristics and identity of a woman who was aware of herself being a woman from a previous life. So while the body and the biology was of a male, the way Shikhandi acted and carried on was that of a woman, because that's what her soul was from the previous life, was that of a woman. So this duality of identity and gender really formed a significant part of her character and who she was. Now, when the Kurukshetra War was going on, Shikhandi's presence on the battlefield, Shikhandi was fighting on the Pandava side, and that was a really strategically crucial thing, because on the 10th day of the war, when Bhishma, who was a match for no one, he was a warrior par excellence, was wreaking havoc on the Pandav forces, Shikhandi was then positioned at the forefront of the army and riding on the same chariot as the warrior Arjun. Now, Bhishma had taken a vow that not only would he protect the Kuru dynasty, he would never shoot at or attack a woman or someone who had a woman's name or who even appears to be a woman. So even though Shikhandi was in a male body, he was effeminate, he was of a female characteristics, and so Bhishma, because of his vow, could not attack. And so the Pandavas took strategic advantage of this. And so when Arjun was fighting Bhishma, he had Shikhandi providing cover because Bhishma could not attack back. So while Arjun could attack, Bhishma couldn't retaliate, and that's what led to Bhishma's eventual downfall, because his hands, his feet, they were tied. He could not abandon his vow, he could not attack Arjun back. And so Arjun filled Bhishma's body with arrows and effectively made him lie on a bed of arrows. Now Bhishma had a boon of his own where he could die when he pleased. So he was in an awful lot of pain, but he was still alive. But for the purposes of the Kurukshetra War, he was effectively out of the way of the Pandavas because he could no longer fight. Now the character of Shikhandi raises various themes that we can discuss. The first is that of destiny and karma, because Shikhandi's very existence was shaped by the past lives' actions and desires. His entire, you can say, existence was because of whatever happened in his previous role as Amba. and his presence on the battlefield played a crucial role in fulfilling his own destiny and karma, and was even affecting Bhishma's destiny and his karma too. Another is that of gender identity. So Shikhandi's story challenges the traditional notions, like I discussed before, of gender and what it really means. Because this unique situation, and it's really interesting how thousands of years ago the Mahabharata talked about, biological sex and karma and the soul's essence, because there's really a blur between male and female in this entire situation. Next, we can talk about forgiveness and vengeance. So Shikhandi's story illustrates the consequences of action and how complex emotions can be, like vengeance and the power of forgiveness and transformation. So he chose to take action or vengeance against Bhishma, but Bhishma himself, his hands were tied. He had made a vow of celibacy. That's a story for another day. But Bhishma, it's not like he didn't marry Amba because he didn't like her or he had a problem against her, but he was taken a vow of celibacy. He had promised he would never marry anyone in his entire life. So his hands were bound by his own vows. And because of that vow, he couldn't marry. And years later, even during the Kurukshetra War, it was another vow of not attacking women that led to his downfall. So this speaks a lot about ethics and duty, because Bhishma's dilemma in facing Shikhandi or attacking Arjun highlights the ethical dilemmas, the ethical conflicts that arise from vows and duties and dharma. So in essence, Shikhandi's role in the Mahabharata is much more beyond revenge. You can talk about gender identity, you can talk about karma, you can talk about punarjanma or reincarnation, and how the character represents this intertwining, this combination of fate, identity, and what it really means to be moral. Like, who is really right? Was Amba wrong in feeling spurned when so many people rejected her? She was kidnapped, it wasn't her fault. But then Bhishma was doing everything out of duty. He had a vow. He had to, at the same time, get a bride for his brother. So it's really a debate, and that's why I love the Mahabharata, because it's a multi-layered narrative and it adds depth to the epic's exploration of what human nature really is and how intricate it could be. So anyways, that's it for today, dear viewers. Once again, keep exploring, stay curious, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the morality and ethics of the whole Shikhandi episode in the Mahabharata. Who was right? Who was wrong? Is there really a black and white in this story? And what can we learn from it? I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this. Thank you so much.